All right, this is Ted. This is the Real Ted G podcast. Thanks for joining me. I have my producer Bing, and we're going to talk about a topic today that I am definitely going to bring it back to real estate, but just not sure how yet. So our topic today is actually about faith. And it's actually much more than just a George Michael song. But the George Michael song lyrics make a lot of impact because you got to have faith. So, Bing, what's your definition of faith?
I get my definition of faith is more, I feel like a religious one, but more just like a faith in a higher power, not necessarily following an established religion, but something where it's like, all things flow through the higher power and but it allows you to have agency. So you're a free individual and you could do whatever you need, but you could reach out to this higher power and your ancestors that have passed on for help in whatever you're doing. If you want to be the best real estate agent in the world, be like, all right, this is something I want to do. Higher power, ancestors. Like, what do I do to move forward? How do I do this? That's kind of like how I feel faith works. A direct personal relationship with a higher power.
This is why it helps to know exactly when you're talking to someone, if you're on the same exact page. Because I was looking at faith, I thought we were going to talk about the actual word and not so much the concept or the ideology. So having faith, whether you're, having faith in yourself and your abilities, or having faith in knowing that you're going to be successful about something, an endeavor. That's the way I think of the word faith. If someone says to me religion, I totally go for what your concept. So I actually don't equate faith with religion, as crazy as it sounds. So, and I guess a lot of people do. And I guess so when they say, but I understand when faith is used as a noun, my faith, I understand. I use faith as, I guess it's a verb.
I see. So
I'm trying to think. It's been a while since I've been in English class.
Well, how would you define faith as opposed to someone like me and other people?
Oh, I look at faith as just the word itself, which is having a feeling, believing in that an outcome will come true. I don't automatically say the word faith and consider it. It has to do with religion. So I understand religions. I know about a few of them. So faith, when it comes to faith, I take it, and I see, bringing it right back to real estate for you, Bing. I take it as it makes an impact when you believe in yourself. It makes an impact when you believe in others, and I'm usually a very positive thinking person, so I have a lot of faith in other people. And I came across a little phrase that I kind of made up myself this year. And sometimes I'll say, I treat everyone as an equal until they prove they're not. And that's probably a mean thing to say. But faith, I actually see it as how it's beneficial in my business, in my position. And I mean that non-sexually. But especially in our business, or actually any business. I mean, I could be a doctor. Can you imagine a doctor not believing you're going to heal? A doctor not believing the surgery is going to work. They probably will never perform surgeries. But when I'm with a client, and I 100% see it in action when I'm with a client and they have a beautiful home, you have to both believe. And yes, faith and religion, but faith, you create your own little mini religion right at that moment. And like with me and my clients, actually almost all my clients, I think probably like 99.9% of the clients that have success stories, we both believed in the home. We both believed we can get the job done. I just sat down with a client. He's looking to sell his house. Remember our topic? I'm 60. Now what? He actually is, I think 72. Now what? He's planning on selling his large home and buying a smaller home. And he interviewed several agents, and he said, not one of them said what I was saying to him. I said, what could they have said to you? They said, well, you'll never find a house So, okay. I was like, and you're not going to find a house. Those were their words. And we all pretty much conceded that yes, your house is sellable and we can sell it for the price you want. So we were all on the same page about that. And I did say to the gentleman, I call people Mr. if they're older than me, at least in life years, But Mr. So and so, I said, well, first of all, I can't guarantee that you're not going to find a house. Same way I can never guarantee that you are going to find a house. The only thing I can guarantee is there is inventory. There is always newer inventory. Inventory does join the market, today, not as fast as it used to, but still, so I don't know if your house is out there 2 weeks from now or 2 days from now or 2 hours from now. The only thing I can tell you is I have faith that I'll do everything in my power to make your transaction work. Not only the sale of your house, but get you into a new house as well, with the idea that you're never going to have to be in like a interim housing. You don't have to move twice, in other words. So I've done it before. I've done it for a lot of clients. Knock on wood. Speaking of faith, knock on wood, I have never left a client homeless.
So your faith is more kind of like faith in yourself to accomplish a dream
or faith in anything, faith in an idea. And a lot of times, but back to what I said in the beginning, it helps to be on the same page. So for instance, with a client or with an agent, you have to be on the same page. We have to share the same ideals. I guess that's true for faith in general as well, even by your category. Bing, I'm waiting on you. Anything?
Well, when it comes to, I actually have a whole list of questions about this topic. So me and Ted were texting about this the other night, and I'm just kind of curious, so this is a very different conception of what people consider faith. When you found, I get faith in yourself and faith in an idea, how did you find your faith?
I found it through experience. I do subscribe to a specific religion. I grew up Greek, so I have a specific religion. We believe in God and all that jazz. Contrary to what some people might think, we don't just believe in mythology. But yes, we have a specific faith. Totally cool, ornate. It's like a 2.5 hour wedding ceremony. I mean, there are so many traditions in the Greek religion, Greek Orthodox, that it like far surpasses. I mean, the wedding ceremony could make you pass out. So
really?
Yeah. So well, anyway, so it's a really, really amazing and ornate religion, and here for hundreds, thousands, I don't know how many years. I'm not a theologian, so but anyway. But like the faith that I consider when I use the word faith, I consider it, whether it's your concept of the universe or your concept of anything, I consider it just the concept of being able to, like the old school, the Napoleon Hill teachings, where if the mind can conceive it, then the brain can achieve it. What the mind can conceive, the brain can what the mind can conceive, the mind can achieve. No one should quote me on anything like that. But the concept is there that if it's something that you want, desire, believe in, it can be accomplished. All you have to do is all the hard work that's associated with it. So my faith comes with, anything is possible. Of course, you have to do the work.
But now, how do other people find that faith?
Well, I don't know. I do have to say, some of the younger generation, they're not even millennials anymore. Apparently, we've surpassed millennials, and now we're on some another younger generation, a younger, brighter generation that I don't think shares the same concepts that we do, especially not a Gen Xer.
How so?
I think that there's such a strong, thing with Instagram, with social media, and oh my goodness, 20,000 followers. Well, what does that really mean in the real world? 20,000 followers. I mean, I don't think they're cult leaders that they can have their followers drink Kool-Aid, and well, anyway, we've seen that. Followers, okay, so you're a quote unquote influencer, I guess. I don't understand what that means, and I think it gives maybe that whole generation a different concept of how the word I'm going to use is importance. I think a different concept of, awards, titles, those things. In my generation, I got contests, sporting events, being on a tennis team, being on the debate team. You got a trophy or a ribbon, a trophy, an accolade because you earned it. So I think that has changed in our society. Celebrity has changed in general.
Well, you know what it is? I think your generation is more rooted in the material aspects of society, where it's like physical, because there was no digital, there was no conceptual. The concept, there were ideals and such, but like now with my generation, it's more rooted in the immaterial, in the conceptual, in the
idealistic. That's where we lose each other. And I'm glad you brought this up, because this is a touching on a different topic, but I love it. I was going to bring this up anyway. Like, that's what I mean. My generation and earlier generations than mine, and maybe slightly younger than my generation, I know that when I walk into someone's house, and I brought it back to real estate, or I know that if I meet someone, encounter someone for the very first time, and regardless if they are in a position of superiority, that a doctor, a lawyer, but even no matter what, if that person is older, I'm automatically going to say the word Mr. or Mrs. And now I understand. I do have one slight argument against myself then, but you say Mr. I'm going to use a nice common name, Davis.
Okay.
So I address my clients as Mr. and Mrs. until I'm told, or literally begged, or no, actually just asked not to. And as case in point, I do have one set of clients. I've addressed them as Mr. and Mrs. Our whole listing term at this point, they've never said, please, these people are old enough to be definitely my parents, and they're doctor, so I haven't been corrected, so I don't correct myself. I don't automatically say, hey, Johnny. That's not going to happen. And I think that your generation has definitely, I feel like you'd automatically call me Ted.
Yeah.
And you didn't call me Mr. G or Mr. Gounelas. And at some point, I obviously would have. My personality, I don't care if you're 16 years old or 76 years old, I will eventually tell you to call me Ted. I have agents that call me and they sometimes say, Mr. Theodore, or do you prefer Ted? And I've had agents call and say, hi, Teddy, I have an offer for you. And I want to turn around and say,
am I a bear?
Listen, in high school, I was called Teddy. That was my name.
Really?
And so if someone from high school calls me, yes, guess what? That's actually what they're going to call me. So no, I just find it, and I take it as a lack of respect, and that's where we are. There's certain generational gaps that I'm finding right now that we are on not on the same page. We're reading different books. So I think that's interesting.
It's very interesting because when you bring it up, like when I was in school, like obviously, I would always. When I was younger, I'd address people as Mr. and Mrs. But then I found that like when I got older, like when I graduated high school, adults would be like, just call me my first name. Don't,
Correct.
So
just call me. The adult said to do it.
I see.
So that's my rule. When I'm asked to, then I don't say, no, I won't. Obviously, I'm asked to. Thank you very much. It's a level. I showed a level of respect. And then that's the concept of just working with people and dealing with people. Then that's them telling you, I respect you too. And I really love it. Like yesterday, that's why I wrote the topic down. I think it's on your notes. I said, call me Arthur. All right. So I'm showing a very, very nice home. I'm showing my favorite home of all time. That's what I was showing. And the people love it. and we're talking back and forth, questions, answers. Then I text, afterwards I text answers to the buyer, and I said, Mr. So-and-so, here are some of the answers of the questions that you asked, the average utility cost, the average landscape snow removal, and I'm just going down, and so the first thing he responds, he actually, he actually said, thank you, and said, and please call me Arthur. Huh. I was like, okay, but there's no reason, the person may or may not be slightly older than me. It didn't make a difference. He's the client. He's the subject here. They're the stars, and in my industry, it's the seller and the buyer. They're the actual headliners. As much as I'd love to be on a cover of a magazine. But yes, so it just stuck with me yesterday. It was just like a moment of, yeah. That's exactly what I mean. I don't see that in society anymore.
It could be like my generation also like wants to.
But I think it has to do with not earning it. Some people are followed by 17,000 people. For what reason? In some cases, content. Posting pictures of their feet.
Oh, I have a story about that I got to tell you.
Tell me your story. I won't tell you mine.
Oh, no. There were these guys at the gym, and we used to call them the foot battalion because they used to take pictures of their feet. They'd act like they were these big jocks, and then they would all like get together after the gym and like touch toes together and stuff, and it was crazy. Like one of them was wearing a gimp suit and getting walked by the other. It was crazy because they acted like they got all these girls, man, and then they're over here like, oh, look at you guys, y'all making like feet pics together, So it was kind of funny, like to make fun of them because like they would insult other people, be like, oh, you don't get any girls or whatever, and then like, there you go, bro. Like you guys can't find girls either, so that's why you're making feet pics together.
Yeah, my current boss always says something very, very, very cool, and I've learned. A good amount of things, and one of the things that he has always said is, if you want something, for instance, yes, I want respect. Yeah. I consider myself a failure if I don't have someone's respect. So I definitely, obviously, crave respect, and not just because I said it 7 times in the last 10 seconds. And the way you get it, the way you get anything like that, or if you desire something, you give it. And I know that I can't recall ever treating someone without respect, without them completely deserving it. Yeah. So you always act the way you want to be acted towards. So anyway, so that's why I think I go to great lengths to treat people with respect. And of course, I'm sure there's someone who's gonna contradict that, and I'm sure they feel the way they do because they have their quote unquote truth. That's another concept in itself. There's only one truth.
Having your own truth.
Yeah,
that's very true.
But yeah, well, that's a whole different topic, and that's definitely on the borderline. You think we should do that on the next podcast?
Hell yeah!
I need a guest for that. I think we need a guest.
A guest for that?
Yeah.
Well, I think we have some guests in the office that we could bring over.
We could. I haven't heard them applaud once, but hey, I'm nothing if not an entertainer. I only do it for the audience. All 2 of them.
All 2? Nah, there's more than 2.
But anyway, so that topic of respect and. But it just that was it. That was the clincher when I heard call me Arthur. I just felt like such a win. I felt like, oh man, he literally just gave me back the respect that I gave him. And it's great. I don't know if they're going to buy the home. It's great if they buy the home. It's great if they don't. So anyway.
Well, I feel too, like we come to the respect thing. I feel like, working in the industry I work in, I feel that people don't give me respect based on my age, or they look kind of down on me because I'm younger than them.
I'm glad you brought that up. This podcast will go a while.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I have a 2:30 interview. I'm glad you brought that topic up. Now that one really burns me a little bit because I've heard it for, where have I been? 20 years. Okay. But let's pretend I was new when I was 24. Okay. And I've heard exactly what you said. Oh, I'm so young. No one takes me seriously. And I can turn around and say, I'm sorry. I don't remember ever feeling that way. And you know, there's a reason for it. I learned everything I could possibly learn in this industry. I knew the inventory. I knew the jargon, or whatever you want to call it. Some people call it spiels, and some people call it verbiage, and some people call it I call it lines. I learned my lines. I would have loved to be on a soap opera to do the same thing, but so I learned the language. I learned the transaction process. I learned everything before I was old, so I was still young. And yeah, it's amazing how people feel, oh, I don't get the respect because of my age, and they use that as the excuse. And I could tell you, I could go ahead and say, no, I'm sorry. They're not respecting you because you spoke out of turn. They're not respecting you because you don't give them you don't have enough respect in yourself to dress. I'm not saying wear a suit and tie anymore, or even a shirt and tie. I understand those guidelines have changed, but dress in a manner that is put together. You don't have to be a millionaire to have an ironed shirt. And this is probably, people are probably going to say, oh, I get all this stuff done. I do so well, and I wear jeans and my Manolos, or whatever those things are called, shoes. So, and I think it comes down to, you could wear a little collared polo and just by address, and khaki
Just
pants.
wear some khakis.
And just by addressing people with Mr., Mrs., Sir, etc., until you're told not to. Please call me Ted. So that concept, and I think people are so quick to take the lowest common denominator and just say, I don't. Oh, I had one agent. We had one. They weren't my agent. I was just working in the same office. So here I am. I had definitely hit 30, and one agent literally. And by the way, I don't think I was ever a bad looking person, but I take a nice picture. And this one young lady said, people don't list with me because I'm too pretty.
What?
Yeah.
Get out of here. Come on.
Honey, I traded on my looks. People list with you because you're pretty. Read any psychological journal, how people's minds work.
Right.
And, people gravitate towards what they want and what they want to emulate as well. Well, anyway, I just find those excuses so lowbrow.
Yeah, it's very, to a degree. I mean, I like to think that I'm a pretty respectful individual, and I still, like, in my old industries and stuff, when I started, especially in this industry,
and I'm not saying people should come up to me and bow.
No, of course not.
People.
But like my thing is like,
and it wouldn't be horrible.
It would be like I have talent and drive and such. And
like, here's my other pet peeve.
What?
I'll teach a class and I'll be saying things, concepts, and like, I know how good I am. That's
right.
my problem. I'll teach a class and I'll see people texting on their phone.
Well, that's a problem too. You can't like disrespect someone's time. And there's, I think there's a big segment in my generation where we don't really understand that when someone's speaking, that's actually rude to do. And it goes to the social media addiction too. Like there's nothing on your phone that's that important where you need to be looking at it the entire time.
Like, let's be addicted to good manners.
Yeah. What happened to that? And it's really down to the nice parents too. Like, what happened to that? What are the parents doing to teach their kids that that's okay and acceptable?
Yeah. Oh, so my parents had a diner.
Okay.
I never blamed the kids. Here we have a diner with a lot of hazards. Kids, like the terrazzo floor. If a kid falls from like a distance of 3 feet high, obviously a booth, that is not going to be a good thing. And they're easy to clean, these floors, but they definitely leave a dent in your head. Oh, yeah. So I never blamed the kids. You can't blame the children. You can't blame the 4-year-old. You absolutely. We're not going to touch on parenting topics because I'm not a parent and everyone discounts my opinion.
Oh.
But back to I just hate the idea of easy excuses. I subscribe to the school of thought when something is not a success, and I don't want to call it a failure because as long as you learn something, you're not failing. But when something is not successful, I almost never. I only look at myself and say, okay, so it's me. It has to be me. And yeah, all different factors can affect it. But at the end of the day, the buck has to stop here. So, and I'm not sure if your generation really does that.
Well, you know what it is? I don't think anyone really understands self-accountability and like user error first before technological error. So by that, I mean, like, maybe it's not the thing that you're doing that's not the thing you're using that's the problem, but you yourself. So I learned this actually when I was like 19 and I got a CB radio in my car. I know I'm old school like that. And I was having problems like setting it up and tuning it right. So I posted in a Facebook group and I'm like, I think my radio's broken. What's going on with this thing? And the guy was like, some guy commented, this old crusty dude, he's like, maybe it's user error and not the problem of the technology. And I was like, at first I was like, wow, what a jerk. And then I was like, you know what? Maybe the old guy's got a point.
Well, side note, just so we're clear, did you know that 90% of all problems with computers are the keyboard monitor interface?
Really?
Yep.
Did not know that.
Now, think about what the keyboard monitor interface is.
It's the user, because the user has to perceive these things, and that's our controls.
Yep. So I think somewhere your generation has skipped over being able to learn. I think this is going to be the least favorite podcast.
It's definitely going to be controversial, but I think that's important.
Yeah, I mean, what's more controversial? Me doing it in my underwear.
Oh my God!
But no, like the least ability to learn. I just can't. I just can't. We're going to be editing this part out because I think that's a little more emotion than I'm used to showing.
But that's okay. I think that's good because it shows it shows your thoughts as a person and it's keeping it real, man. Like I think it's fine and it shows a true generational gap. And you're not that much older than me. I mean, you're in the millennial generation. I'm Gen Z, and there's already a massive gap because there's a lot of...
Wait. No, Bing. I'm not the millennial generation.
What do you mean?
Okay, what do you classify as the millennial generation?
I don't know, like 1985 to 2000? I mean, 1985 to 1995, sorry.
Well, I wasn't born between those years either.
What? What?
Yeah.
Wait, what?
So I'm 100% Gen X.
You're Gen X?
Yes, I grew up in the 80s.
Get the hell out of here.
Yeah. I mean, 1880s.
You see, us Mediterranean folk, we preserve, man. We preserve.
I owe this all to everything from CrossFit to Orange Theory.
Yes.
I actually feel better at 50. I'm not 50 at this moment, in case someone accuses me of being 50 at this moment.
How old
But 50
are you?
is the new 30.
How old are you?
I'm definitely not 50, and I'm definitely not 40. And I'm definitely not 30, contrary to those dating sites that I write up.
Oh, Jesus Christ. You're anywhere between... Okay, whatever.
Well, anyway, I'm Gen X. I'm 100% Gen X.
Wow.
So Gen X people, we know what it's like to be home alone and fend for yourself. And I don't mean the movie, but home alone, feed yourself, cook something. Maybe if you were 10 or 12, you were actually probably watching your 8 or 9-year-old sibling. So we knew how to do laundry. I think most of my generation knows how to, and in school, we learned real concepts like vocabulary and grammar. And I think I agree.
And woodshop.
So wait, there was home economics, and I believe they're bringing home economics back as well. But yeah, they were like true to life skills. And this is where I have a few pet peeves. Maybe that should be a whole podcast in itself. But I'm gonna finish up our generational conversation and everything. So I get a text back and forth from definitely a Gen. I guess you guys are Gen Zs, right?
Yes.
Okay, from a Gen Zer. And there was a conversation that was happening, and the text said, "I thought that's what you wanted me to say, so I wouldn't come off as unexperienced." And the nice part was I got a little bit of a chuckle because I actually don't believe that that's a word.
No, it's not.
But that's not the first time I've heard people use words that are not real. I've read a dictionary or two, but it struck me as I almost want to say, so if I had to take the adjective experienced, and inexperienced is the word to use, that I do not have experience, that person. Okay. Unexperienced actually takes that adjective, and you literally have to think about it and say, that's actually that would be the way I would describe that word would be in a dictionary would be that you have experience and you actually undid it. Like you pulled the thread and you undid it. So anyway, to your generation, where do these words come from?
I don't know.
Because they don't come from a dictionary.
I think it's you know what it is too. A lot of kids when I was in high school and middle school, a lot of kids were either really disruptive, where the class actually 20 minutes of it was just disciplining, or it would be all the time people would just be on their phones, playing video games, texting or whatever, so no one would be paying attention.
And don't get me wrong, I'm not making a blanket statement about a whole generation.
Oh, of
I know
course not.
kids that are actually younger than you and even your age that are extremely intelligent, have gotten into great colleges, very well spoken, and that is what was our original topic here? Faith. And that is why it pays to have faith. I have faith in so much around me, especially myself. But I also have faith. I have faith that your generation will muddle through. All generations do. We all have our own set of circumstances, our own, latchkey kids turn into pretty self-sufficient adults that actually don't want to give up the throne, because I think that's why the Generation Xers right now, it feels like 50 is the new 30, which is absurd, because I always thought 30 was it. It was like 30 and yay, and then 50 and you should be on like a senior citizen TV show. So anyway, so I do have so bringing it all the way back to faith. I have faith even in the unexperienced.
Well, I think that's a great way to put it. I mean, if you look at it too, with 50 being the new 30, there's just so much more opportunity for growth, and I think more people are understanding that.
Yeah, your career, your life, everything. You can start at 40. You can start at 50. Exercise right, and that's another thing. I hear so many people with the ideas of Botox and implants and muscle implants, and if that's what you want, that's great. But whatever happened to really earning it, going to the gym and earning the body that you want? And you know what happens when you earn it? That's a whole other topic. Damn it, darn it. What happens when you earn it is you can always repeat it. And when you earn it, the byproduct of going to the gym, and I don't have a fantasy body, but I'm working on it. I think I need a little more diet and a little less alcohol. But let's pretend I get it. You know what the byproduct is? Endorphin high. Mm-hmm. Automatically, just feeling that you're. I can say that I may be in the best shape that I've actually ever been. And I was a pretty okay shape when I was in my 20s. And 30s even. So, but the exercising is just a phenomenal. The endorphin rush is a big deal. But just knowing, just so much easier to lift something and to just you
everything. Get to experience your body in full force.
Yeah. So by earning it,
yeah.
I didn't go and get calf implants. Or
you're not doing
like
steroids.
No, I could never
I can't
poke myself with a needle.
How many dudes do Trenbolone or they do other types of steroids, and it's like, dude, like you can't even like pre-workout. Like I don't do that either, because it's like that's not me. That's just like
I'd rather have someone ask me if I'm a millennial and know that I didn't get any work done. But I pay the person that just asked me, so it might not be the same thing.
Oh, no. That one was genuine. Trust me. So
I think we definitely have to wrap it up.
Right?
And I'm going to wrap it up with famous last words about faith. You got to have faith, the faith. And I'm a Gen Xer, so I'm the only one that knows that song reference.
Don't worry, I know that one too. I just don't know who it was by, but I've heard the song.
Yeah. So this is The Real Ted G. And this is the Real Ted G podcast. Thanks for joining us on a topic that maybe you agree with us, maybe you don't. Anyway, I think we're going to edit that part out. Yeah. This is the Real Ted G. Thanks for joining me on my podcast. Find us on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Spotify. And that's about it.